Hey, what's up everyone? In this video I'm going to show you how I clean up and restring my Fender Strat. This is the guitar that I gig with more than any of my other guitars because they're just a really versatile guitar. So I'm going to show you how I restring it and how I really clean it up and make it look very nice. And this one is real battered as well. You can tell that I gig this loads. You can tell by the fret wear and everything, but I just love it. And I love that all the road wear signs have actually come from myself playing it properly, and it's not had to be relicked or anything, which I'm not massively into. So anyway, here's what you need for the way that I restring and clean up my Fender Stratocaster guitar. So you need a set of strings. I'm going to use some Ernie Ball Slinky 9-42 strings this time. I change up the strings that I use quite a lot. I'm not really a string snob. I used to be, but not so much anymore. As long as they sound good and feel good, I'm happy. And then you'll want a microfiber cloth to really clean it up later. When you're restringing your guitar, you're taking the strings off, so you might as well take the opportunity to get rid of all the dust, dirt and grime off it, make it look really nice and make it shine. Then you want another cloth of some sort as well, just a general cloth. Try not to get one that scratches too much unless you're not bothered by that. String winder makes things a lot quicker for tuning the strings up later. And then you'll want some snips or some scissors for snipping the strings, unless you choose to recoil them and use them as backup strings, which sometimes I do, to be honest with you. And then in terms of polishing it up, believe it or not, my favourite thing is actual general furniture polish. But you can use some of this Dunlop guitar polish as well. And then this is the magic formula that I use for really shining it. I use this sometimes on the Strat, but more on like a Les Paul or something with a nitrocellulose finish. This works because furniture polish on something with a nitrocellulose finish doesn't work. It cleans it up, but it makes it go dull. And this is cream of Canuba. It's like Canuba wax, basically. You'll see how good this stuff is really later. So step one, loosen the strings off slightly. There's only 5 on this because I snapped it at the last gig I did. Admittedly, this Fender Strat, I've neglected it a little bit for a few months. It's actually not gigged in a few months because I was a bit lazy and couldn't be bothered restringing it. And then snip the strings in the middle if you're not bothered about preserving them, which I'm not. There we go, 5 strings snipped. Take the strings off. The reason I snip the strings as opposed to just winding them down is because it's a lot quicker to snip them than it is to wind them off. As you probably noticed now, I didn't have to wind any of the pegs to get them off. However, like I say, if I was trying to use them as kind of backup strings, then I would wind them off. And then the next part, and hopefully we run into a little bit of an issue here, because sometimes you can get an issue with Strats here. You grab these ends and you push them through the body. That one's come out nice and easy. That one has 2. That one has as well. And that one. And we had no issues getting them out. But I do want to check something. Right, okay, so there is actually an issue, and I was hoping that this would crop up, this issue, so that I could demonstrate to you how I resolve it. So the string that I snapped last time I used this was the high E string, and basically the ball from the high E string, it's actually stuck inside the bridge. I don't know if you can, you probably won't be able to see, but it's actually stuck inside the bridge. So how do you get that out? There's a few ways. You can get something small to poke through, but what I do is the strings that I've just took off there, I feed one of the slightly thicker ones through, and normally it'll poke that ball out. Let's try and get it like this so you can see. It's not coming. It will do in a minute. Sometimes it helps if you hold it like this and do it. Any minute now. There we go. And if you watch this now. There we go. It's probably focusing on my face, but yeah, so it's come through fine now. Right, so that's all of the strings out. So the next part is grab your general kind of like dusting cloth, not the microfiber one, the dusting one. Just give it a wipe off like any excess dust or dirt. You can go really overboard with this if you wanted. Like I've gone as far before as taking all the hardware off, unscrewing it all off and cleaning it. But it takes ages to do it that way. And we're going to try and make this quite a quick process to a degree for a full clean up and restring. So just wiping the excess dirt off. Okay. Dust. That'll do. Okay, then what you want to do, flip it over. You normally want to have something to put it down on, but this thing's got enough battle scars that a few more scratches ain't going to do it much harm. Right, get your furniture polish or guitar polish, it's up to you which you use. I'm going to use furniture polish, just up the neck as well. And rub it on. Clean that black polish, it'll really polish it up now. If you see any sort of grub marks in there or anything, just rub them off. Put a bit more extra elbow work into it. Same on the back. Now when you get in the back, the part that's really easy to get is the sides. So try and get the sides whilst you're doing the back of it as well. There's a little bit of extra grub here, so I'm just trying to get that off as much as I can. And try and get the horns here because they're an easy part to forget as well, just in here. Okay. This neck feels slightly loose on this guitar. All right, that's the back and sides done. So, flip it over, do the same on the front. You don't need to douse it in the guitar, don't need to douse the guitar in polish either. Just normal plenty. The neck, try and really give it a good scrub though, because this part is where, especially in the frets, there is where a lot of grub tends to get collected. And when you put new strings on, this grub that's on around the kind of like fret bars does actually tend to rub off onto the new strings, so they don't last as long. The grub does affect the sound of them. This guitar actually needs a refret up here on these higher up frets. That is my dog barking, if you can hear it. Okay. Right, and then I'll just clean up the body of it on the front as well. This is where a lot of dust collects here on the guitar's scratch plate. So try and just rub that off. For what it's worth. That's kind of like normally a lot of people when they restring and they don't think to clean it up, like that's just a really good area to get the dust out. Just there, it just looks so much better just with that dust cleaned off that collects underneath the strings. It's very hard to get it when the strings are on. White is like the most awkward colour to see if you've wiped all the polish off the guitar or not. And then again, just go around the sides and back just in case any of the excess polish has gone onto it. So this guitar doesn't really need any of that that wax of Canuba on it. This stuff, I don't think, to polish it up, because that furniture polish is kind of almost, it's brought it up really nice. But I'll use the wax of Canuba polish. It would work really nice on this still. I'll use it on, I'm going to do a Gibson restring video at some point, restringing my Les Paul, and I'll use it on that one because it's just short better on that. But if I was to use the wax of Canuba on this as well, it would make the guitar, the finish on it, honestly, it'd look like a mirror. You'd be able to see yourself in it. But for the sake of like a quick restring and the fact that the polish has actually brought that up really nice, like my hand is gliding on it there, there's no point in using it for this. That doesn't mean don't use it, that's completely up to you. Right, so next part, get your strings ready. You can open up your strings. I'm going to try and do this in record time now. Doesn't take that long, honestly. Dead easy to restring a guitar. So get your strings ready, and then just before you start putting your strings on, this is something that can easily be forgotten. So your tuning pegs on the guitar, try and just turn them so that they're all facing downwards, the holes, so that the string, you can get it straight through and straight in. It just saves you a little bit of time and manoeuvring with your fingers later. Cool. Right, next part. There's a few ways to do this on a Strat. I'd say the Fender Stratocaster is one of the easiest guitars to restring. You could either do them one at a time here, or you could do them all at once, but it can get a little bit confusing when you do them all at once. So I'm going to put the high E in. It does not, some people say do it in such and such an order. Honestly, it doesn't matter what order you put them on at all. So I've put the high E string through there. I'm going to pull it through the tuning peg at the top. Okay, pull it down. So you want to pull this part of the tuning peg out. You're going to pull this part up and then do about there. Make sure you got a little bit of slack on the string still. And then what you do is you hold the string so that you've got one part of it in this finger, one part of it in these fingers. So the way I do it is I kind of put two fingers there, hold that like there. You can put a little dimple in it if you want, like that. Grab the string winder, start winding it. And I like this really neat, so I send the string upwards like that, and I make sure that the string winds underneath where the excess is going. If you look at the way I'm holding it now, I'm holding it so that there's tension there, so that it winds really neatly. And then once you are, I don't know if you can see this, at the point where it starts contacting with the top nut here, feed the string into the part of the nut that it needs to go to. And I've missed something there. Make sure you put it underneath the string tree if you've got one. First one done. And just repeat that process through the whole thing. So let's get it done really quickly. We'll do the B string next. Same thing, feed it through, pull it up a bit, make sure there's still a little bit of slack. Hold it, make sure there's tension. Wrong thing. Grab your string winder, start winding it. Make sure that you wind it so the string winder should be going anti-clockwise to tighten it. You want all of the strings going the same way. Be careful that they are not going opposite ways, otherwise whenever you're tuning your guitar it'll make it really awkward. Send it underneath the string tree, set it into its slot within the top nut. That's that one done. Next one, G. It's super easy. It's actually quite therapeutic at times, just not when you've got to do it on a gig. It's awful when you're doing a gig and you snap one string and you have to bust into a fresh packet of guitar strings just to refit one string. That's where the kind of cutting off the strings and saving them can come in handy. It's not that you'd leave the string on, it's that it'll get you through a gig without having to bust into a full brand new packet of strings. Okay, same, just repeat the process on the G string. Honestly, these, for what they cost, these string winders save so much time winding the string up. They're cheap as anything, and if you've ever done this manually winding, it can take ages to wind it all manually without a string winder. That'll do for that one. Next one, D string. Feed it up, take it through the string hole, leave a slight little bit of slack on with the wound strings. So we're on the wound strings now. Try not to leave as much slack on the string. You want to leave good bits still, but not as much as you do on the strings that aren't wound. Because if you leave too much slack on these wound strings, they take ages to tune. Probably should have had a touch more slack on it than I actually left there. But you want to make sure on the wound ones that you pretty much get one full wind out of it. We'll see what we get out of that one. I feel like I've just not quite left enough slack on it. A string is next. Again, same process, straight up, straight to the string winder, the string hole, bit of slack on it. For me, like measuring the slack, I use my middle finger and I make sure I've got about a full middle finger's worth of guitar slack left on the string before I start winding it. On that last one I went a little bit under, but this one will be fine. This one will have just over a full wind on it, maybe two. And this one's probably got a touch too much on it. That's that one done. Last string, low E string. Straight up, straight through the string hole. Pull it through, a little bit of slack, leave a little bit of slack on it. Grab the string winder, wind it up. Now I could cut this video and edit it all together, but the reason I'm not doing it, I'm doing the kind of letting you watch the whole process, is because there are things that you can very accidentally miss out when you start editing videos together. And to be honest, I'm not a massive fan of editing. Like, I prefer just something live and straight as it is. Right, so all the strings are on. It's very, very out of tune at the minute. Next port of call, grab your snips. My snips have disappeared, so I'm using these long nose pliers at the minute, but they've got a snipping tool there. And snip the excess off as close as you can. Watch you don't accidentally snip the wrong part of the string with this. That's one. Two. 3. Snips would get in there a lot easier than these long nose pliers do. And they'd cut them a bit shorter as well than these do. Alright, last one. 6. Right, so that's all that. Look at it, it's looking beautiful now as well. It's like glass, honestly. That furniture polish just works such a treat, it's unreal. Right, now this is the important part of it, I find, which is the tuning process. It's not going to just tune straight away, and I've got my phone in my hand for a reason. You need to repeat the tuning process a good fair few times. I normally do it 3 to 4 times. So first thing you want to do is get a tuner, and I'm just going to use the one that I've got on my phone. Just to save me plugging in, and then tune it up. Hopefully it doesn't need me to readjust all the action on it and whatnot. So this one gets tuned to B, the last one was high E. I'm tuning purposely slightly past the notes. This one gets tuned to G. D. A. I've gone past A now. And then low E. Which that one seems like it's already past low E. Okay, once you've got them quite tight, the strings, what you want to do, grab the string, this is a really important part, and just give it a bit of a pull all the way throughout. Don't do it too hard, you'll snap the strings. Okay, this is just to stretch the strings out. Okay, then tune it up again. Then tune it up again. You'll find it's a very subtle fine tuning that you're doing now. Okay, then the action's slightly high on this, so I'm going to have to alter it, but that's a separate video that I'm going to do with how to set up a Strat. Right, then I want you to do a little bit of a bend on each string. Just basically play the guitar and just bend the strings a little bit, stretch them out even more. Okay, then tune it up again. And then, there you go. It should be fully done, fully tuned up and ready to play.